What's the word, people? You know what it is. It's your boy Big Will. I'm back with another episode of Life After Prison TV. For this video, wait. Before we get there, you gotta hit that like and subscribe button. You got to hit that like and subscribe button. That's for free. And it helps me out, helps the channel out. Leave a comment below whether you like the video or not. All that helps me out, helps the channel out. Helps YouTube show that you're watching my video and that they should push more of them. I'm gonna tell you about where it all began for me, okay? Before the lockup, before the trouble, before the kids, before the marriage and then divorce, before all of that, before where I am right now, we're going to take it way back, alright? My name's Will, as you all know, right? I was born in Fall River, Massachusetts, where I currently reside. I've lived here for generally all of my life. When I was a child, we moved down to Louisiana for a stint, but mainly right here, Massachusetts, Fall River, home of the Battleship Cole, home of the Big Mamie, right? Back then, grew up with single parent home. My mother with 2 sons. My father and her separated real young. When I was real young. My mother had me at 18. My brother a year later. And she was never really with my father. Right? My father was always in and out of jail. My father's been a thug, a criminal. God rest his soul, Dad. I don't hold nothing against you now. Or, then I knew you was a man. I respected my father as a man, but not as a father. He knew that. My brother and myself, my mother tried to do as much as she can for her. She worked day and night. She was a waitress. She'd go in at 11 a.m. in the morning, and she would come home, 10 at night, 11 at night sometimes. My brother and I we were self-sufficient, so to speak, right? We were young, and we were able to roam the city, so to speak, right? My mother, we had curfew. We would come in the house. Back then, as everybody knows, there was only landline phones. There was no cell phones, right? So, Mom would call. We'd be in the house. Yeah, I'm here. I did my homework and I'm gonna take a shower and blah blah blah. And right after we hung up with Mom, we'd be back out. We'd take off. Me and my brother. Now, the way we lived, the park was right there, so we were always out on our own. You know what I'm saying? Always running the street lights come on. We're supposed to be in the house. Of course, we would stay out. The teenagers around that area, around Ruggles Park. That's the park that we lived. My house was right at the top of Ruggles Park. The teenagers took me and my brother underneath their wing. Me and my brother, my mother, like I said, she did what she could for us. She tried to make us comfortable, right? But we were on a poverty level. You know what I'm saying? My mother worked as a waitress. The tips were good, yeah, but the pay was shit back then, $1 something an hour, and my mother tried working underneath the table so she can still collect her government benefits and, go get our government cheese and stand in line at the, the soup kitchens and whatnot to get, the food pantries, not soup kitchen. We didn't go to soup kitchens. We went to food pantries to get free canned goods, and once or twice a month we would go and get free foods or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we grew up poverty. You know what I'm saying? Low, and but we were very proud. You know what I'm saying? City where I grew up, Fall River, I have a big family. I have a big family, and we were known. We were proud. You know what I'm saying? My grandparents had 19 kids between the two of them. My grandmother had 3 prior to my grandfather. He had 3, I believe, or 4 prior to my grandmother. Then they married and they had 13 kids. So they had like 19 kids, 20 kids, you know what I'm saying? So we had a big family and we had lots of kids. But of course, my father, like I say, my father was in and out of prison. He was off on the run. He was a drug addict. So we didn't see my grandparents as much. But I grew up with that name, you know what I'm saying? I had the name Dupress, and back then in the 70s and 80s, my father was a street gangster, a hoodlum, you know? No gang member, but he was a street gangster, a hoodlum. We grew up in the projects. That's where we grew up. My mother's mother, the original project we grew up in was Sunset Hill. It was originally a Navy-based housing project. So the people from the Navy bases, that's where they would live, right? And then they turned into government housing for the less fortunate, you know? So we grew up back then in the projects, lived in the projects my whole life. My father wasn't around, like I say. My mother tried moving to Newport, Rhode Island for a year or two. That didn't work out. Of course, we lived in housing there as well. Lived in the projects, Ptonomy Hill, right? If you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. If you're from Massachusetts, Fall River, you know where Sunset Hill is about, you know what I'm talking about. So we grew up in the projects my whole life. 5 years old, 4 years old, my mother meets her second husband, which was my brother David's father. He was a sailor. He was in the Navy, right? So she meets him. That marriage don't last long. Now my mother's got 3 boys, and here she is by herself trying to raise 3 boys, right? My brother David's 4 years old. Him and my brother Joey go down to Louisiana to see my brother David's father in the summertime. He ends up kidnapping my brother David, sending my brother Joey home. Back then down in Louisiana, he is the biological father, right? So it wasn't kidnapping. He was sent down there. My mother sent him down there willingly. He would go down there in the summer times with my brother. I wasn't very liked by my brother David's father because I was my father's the third. I'm the third, right? So I was my father's junior, and I looked just like my father, and he didn't like my father, and blah, blah, just a whole bunch of bullshit. So I was shunned aside. I was at my grandmother's a lot. My mother's mother. She was my angel. She was my heart. My grandmother. But she lived in the projects too. My mother, after she came back from Louisiana, and we had an apartment out of the projects near Ruggles Park, but family lived in Sunset Hill, so I was there every day. I was there every weekend in the projects, you know. Fast forward to middle school and stuff. I'm a good teenager. I'm a good very good student up until the age of 7th grade. 7th grade, I get introduced to marijuana, and my life just does a total 180. And when I hit 180, I did the rest. I kept going and spinning. School was no longer it was no longer a priority. The only thing that was a priority was smoking weed and skipping school, right? I started to chase women and weed, and that's what I did. So I always worked. I worked all the time. I started out with working for after school in the housing projects, doing maintenance, doing dishwashing. I had to get doing the summer programs. I had to get money because I was a teenager and I smoked weed, and my mother was the point where, oh, you're not going to go to school, well, you're going to work and help out, even though she got government benefits for us, right? But hey, what it was, I was a kid. I wanted to have my own pocket money and buy my own clothes. I didn't want to wear corduroys growing up. I didn't want to wear Velcro sneakers growing up from Tom McCann. You know, I didn't want that shit. I wanted to be seen as, you know, I wanted Nikes, and I wanted Lee jeans, and, you know, I wanted in style shit. I wanted Z Cavaricci, you know, the name brand clothes is what I wanted, right? So I had to work for it. Like I say, 16, 17, I get, you know, fast forward, you know, middle school, my grades tank. I get into high school. Well, 9th grade, I was there half a year. I was a fighter. I was into fighting all the time. I got expelled. I had to be in school for my mother to get benefits for us, right? So, from 9th grade to half the year ends, I have to have a meeting with the school board to get back into school. I'm going to come to school. I'm not going to skip school anymore. I'm going to apply myself. I'm not going to fight. Blah, blah, blah. I give them the whole line to get back into school. 10th grade comes. Now I'm passing on grades, not on credits, because I had no credits. I didn't make 9th grade. I got kicked out, right? So 10th grade comes. I'm in my class with the sophomores, but I am not there credit-wise, right? But anyways, I'm not looking for grades. I'm looking to take the bus to school every day, smoke some weed in the morning, get to school, ride the bus back home, smoke some more weed, right? That's what I did. My mother wasn't very happy. 10th grade comes, the first week of school. We have some kids that moved into our city. They're from Boston. They're trying to take over the school. I wasn't having it. First week of school, I started a big brawl with all my friends and with these kids. They were a small family from Boston, and we had a big fight, and I got expelled the first week of school, right? My mother's not having it. Well, come 16, 17, 15, about 14, 15, I start with what I'm saying, smoking weed. Now I'm taking Valiums. Now I'm taking mescaline, you know, to enjoy life. I'm drinking beer every day. I'm drinking, you know, with my friends. We all had weekend jobs. Like I said, I had day jobs and stuff because I didn't go to school. They all went to school. They all stayed in school, got their diploma. My brother and my friends, the kids from the project. But what we would do is every day after school, we would get an ounce of weed. We would get a case of Heffenreffer, and we would get a case of Bud Light, right? And we would drink. Weekends come, we'd get a couple more cases, and you know, we were then we were into the Mad Dog 2020. We were into Cisco. You know, we were project kids, hanging around, not going to school. 16 comes, 15 comes. We're stealing cars and shoplifting as teenagers. But you know, nothing fighting all the time. But no real charges come. 16. I'm sleeping out, and I'm sleeping, you know, I'm spending nights over here and over there, and I moved in with my cousin. She had her own apartment. She was older than me. I moved in with her for a while. You know, I come home at 16 and a half, and my mother's like, you're not going to be in and out of this house whenever you want. You're just going to give me the house key. So here I am, 16, I'm out. I live with my cousin for a year. That's when my life starts to really start getting hectic. Now I'm drinking alcohol, and I'm smoking weed, and I'm taking pills daily, and nothing else matters but to have fun. Have a couple girlfriends, have some fun. That was my life, right? Never had no juvenile charges. Anytime there was a fight or we had parties, we were the crew that weren't allowed at parties. We weren't invited. Okay, because whenever we showed up at a party, there was a fight. Someone was getting beat up. Somebody's house was getting wrecked. The party was getting, things just weren't good. So we weren't invited, you know. 16, but it was a good time. We were at friends, right? 17, my life starts No. That's a part 2. We'll catch you. Big Will. It's your boy, Big Will. Life After Prison TV. Hey, hit that like and subscribe button and go see the next one for part 2.